You believe that wealth is something that happens suddenly. One day you win the lottery, inherit money, receives monumental promotion, get rich out of nowhere. Friedman would look at this and laugh, because he understood something that destroyed this illusion. Wealth is not an accident. Wealth is a system, its structure, its process, its repetition, and anyone can build this starting practically from scratch. But no one wants to hear it because it's boring, because it takes time, because it requires discipline. So they remain poor, waiting for a miracle as time passes. Milton Friedman was not a man of romantic illusions or false hopes. He deeply studied how people actually get rich in real life. Not in celebrity magazine stories, in real life of ordinary people you don't see, in the cold mathematics of numbers, in the reality of numbers and spreadsheets, and discovered a repeated pattern, simple but consistent pattern, standard that anyone can follow faithfully. It doesn't matter how much you earn right now. It doesn't matter where you started in life. Pattern works for anyone, but it only works if you actually do things. It is not just understood theoretically. Doing is what is difficult. Doing it consistently for years is what most people can't do. The great illusion that Friedman fought, you need a lot of money to start. Wrong. You need discipline to get started. Friedman saw people earning little get rich. He saw people earning a lot become poor. The difference was not income, it was behavior, it was system. It was whether you actually built wealth or whether you just consumed income. The first step Friedman universally emphasized, you need to earn more than you spend. It seems too obvious, almost insultingly obvious. But most people don't do that. He earns everything he earns as income. Spend everything you earn as an expense. Some even spend more than they earn using credit. No one gets rich by never earning exactly what they spend. Physically, mathematically impossible. You need margin. You need a real difference between earning and spending. This difference is your fundamental fuel for building future wealth. No margin, no difference. You're stuck. You remain where you are forever. So what margin do you need? Friedman was clear. Start small. 5% is enough to start. If you earn 1,000 Ries, set aside 50. If you win 10,000, set aside 500. Small? Yes. Insufficient? No. Because you don't want to build yourself from nothing. You want to start small and gradually increase. Because when you start small, it hurts less. It's easier to maintain discipline. It's easier to keep the system running. But here's the secret that Friedman emphasized, that margin has to be involuntary. It has to exit automatically. If you separate money at the end of the month with the rest, it doesn't work, because when it comes to the end of the month, there is no money. It has already been spent. You have to force the system. Every time you receive it, you separate it. Take it off now, automatically. Then you spend the rest. This way, you never have the option to spend that margin. Friedman has seen this work over and over again in real lives. People who force automatic savings can build wealth. People who try to save what's left at the end of the month fail. Because at the end of the month, after all expenses, there is no money left. It has already been completely consumed. It's already gone. You have to create barrier between you and saved money. You have to force the system. Every time you receive a salary or income, you automatically set aside margin. Before you can spend, then you spend the rest. This way you never have a conscious option to spend that separate margin. It's automatic. It's unconscious. That's why it works. Okay. You're separating margin now. 5%, 10%, 20%, whatever you can get. What do you do with that money? Here begins the real system of building wealth. With an identified margin and an automatic system implemented, you separate automatically. The first thing you do with this initial margin is invest in education that generates real income, not in random courses or hobbies, in education that direct increases your ability to earn future money. Friedman was clear. Your professional skill is your greatest personal asset. Much more valuable than the cash you have in your account. Because money you can lose, money can be stolen, money can disappear in a crisis, but a skill that you have deeply developed, no one can take away. You can earn more in your current profession by learning more. You can switch to a different, more profitable profession by learning. You can create side income on the side by learning new skill. Investing margin in education that increases your earning capacity is the investment that multiplies your potential. Then you separate margin. Use part to educate. Read books about your area, take courses, learn missing skills. Months pass. You become more competent, more valuable. You can genuinely ask for a raise. You can change jobs for a better one. You can start a small side business. Income increases. This is fundamental. Because to build real wealth, you need to increase income. Small margin is start, but you don't get rich with a small margin. You get rich by increasing income and maintaining margin. Step 3 is critical. When margin gets larger because your income has increased through education, you begin to invest margin in real assets. But here's the key. You start very small, extremely small. Friedman was an absolute pragmatist. If you earn 1,000 reais a month and manage to set aside 100 reais, don't invest a whole 100 reais in company shares. It doesn't work emotionally, because when the stock drops 10 reais, when you see your money drop 20%, you become emotionally desperate. You start to sleep poorly. You get anxious. You make emotional decisions. You sell at the worst time. You lock in loss. You really lose. It starts with value that doesn't hurt to lose. It could be small gold. It can be a fraction of a share. It could be foreign currency. It may be a small participatory property. Something very small that you understand. The goal of step 3 is not to get rich quick. It's learning. Learn how investing works, how the market works, how emotion works when your money is at risk. You need that practical education. You need this knowledge. Because when you have more money, when you have a bigger margin, you won't make amateur mistakes. You will have experience. You will know what works for you. Step 4. As income increases and education improves, you begin to increase asset allocation. But here comes the fundamental rule that Friedman hammers home. Diversification. You don't put everything into one thing. Put it in multiple things. Some assets for growth, some for preservation, some for income. You distribute. Because when you distribute it, when it's not all in one thing, you sleep better. When the market falls, you are not destroyed. Some assets fall, others maintain it. Some go up. Friedman saw people who put everything into one asset, they got rich quickly, then they lost everything when that asset fell. Tragic, loose. Friedman said that real wealth is built slowly, diversified, protected. It is not built by betting everything on one thing. That is speculation. It's not wealth building. Step 5. As the structure grows, you start to think about multiple sources of income, not just salary, because salary is passive income. If you stop working, your salary stops. Friedman knew that for true independence, you need income that doesn't depend on you working. Income that comes while you sleep. As assets that generate income, property rentals, business profit, investment interest, share dividends, anything that makes money without you working. This doesn't appear suddenly. You build slowly, invest a few reais in generating assets, receive small income, invest income again, cycle continues. Years pass, yield grows. It's a respectable number. Keep cycling, more years. Income is more than salary. This is the moment. This is a turning point. When passive income outweighs working income, you are truly independent. But there is something that Friedman emphasized. This process takes time. It takes years. It takes consistent discipline. It's not magic. It's not fast. If you expect to get rich in a year, you will give up. If you wait in 5 years, you might as well give up. If you wait in 10 years, maybe you can. But most give up. Because it's boring. Because it takes time. Because it requires renunciation today for benefit tomorrow. Friedman was also clear about necessary mindset. You have to genuinely believe it will work out. Because if you don't believe, you'll give up when it gets difficult. And it will get difficult. There will be times when you earn less. You can lose money on a bad investment. There may be unexpected expenses that force you to spend savings. It will happen. When it happens, you have to believe enough not to give up. So I don't think I'll never make it to continue. Because whoever continues succeeds. So what specific plan did Friedman propose? It starts like this. You sit. Calculates exactly how much you earn per month. Then calculate exactly how much you spend. You need to be honest. A lot of people don't know how much they spend because they don't track it. You have to know. Then identify margin. If you don't have margin, the first thing you do is reduce expenses. Not luxuries, even essential things. Because if you can't get margin now, when? Never. You will always find a reason to spend more. So start reducing expenses now. With an identified margin, you automatically separate. The first thing you do with margin is education. Learn your profession better. Learn a second profession. Learn anything that increases C ability to win. Months pass. You get better. Earn more. Margin gets bigger. Now separates margin in education and small investment. Keep working. Keep separating. Keep investing. Savings grow. This is where most people give up. Because you see the number growing slowly. You see it will take years to get rich. He becomes unmotivated. Think it's not worth it. But Friedman knew that's exactly when you should keep going. Because before reaching critical point, progress seems slow. But after reaching critical point, progress skyrockets. Composition begins, passive income grows, grow more, shoot. But you only reach the critical point if you continue when it was boring. Friedman gave the example of a tree to illustrate this invisible process. You plant tree seeds. First year, nothing visible happens. Second year, third year, fourth year. Tree is still there. You may genuinely think you're dead or you won't grow up. But in fact, roots are growing underneath. Under the ground. Invisible. Completely invisible. You can't see. Fifth year, sixth year. Suddenly everything changes, tree grows. It grows very quickly, it grows exponentially. It gets big, stays strong. It produces fruit. It produces many fruits. All because you kept watering when nothing visible was happening. Nothing. Personal wealth is exactly the same. You keep investing. Continue separating margin. Keep learning. For years. Nothing very visible happens at first. Numbers grow slowly. Very slowly. It may seem like it's not working, but structure is growing underneath. Composition is working. After a certain critical point, it explodes. Wealth appears quickly, appears exponentially, all because you continued when you were invisible and boring. Friedman also emphasized something critical psychologically. You have to have a clear and specific financial goal. It cannot be vague, it cannot be generic. Like, I want to be rich one day. This doesn't work. Objective has to be mathematically specific. Like, I want to have 50,000 in accumulated assets in 5 years. Or I want to have passive income of 1,000 Rs per month in 10 years. Or I want to not have to work in 20 years. Clear and measurable objective. Because a clear goal keeps you motivated when it gets difficult. You know exactly where you're going. You know how much progress you've made. You can measure. You can motivate yourself by seeing progress. Also fundamental, you have to review your system regularly. Not annually, quarterly, semi-annually, annual. You meticulously track how much you set aside. How much did you invest? How much did it yield? You see if you are on the right path, if you're in rhythm, whether it is accelerating or decelerating. If you're not on the path, you don't give up. You adjust. Adjust your spending, adjust your investment, adjust your strategy, but you don't give up. You just refine it. Because a system that doesn't adjust dies, but a system that evolves prospers. Friedman also knew that wealth begets more wealth. Once you have a base, the margin becomes greater, because you are no longer at zero. You have assets generating income. You have an increased salary from an improved profession. The margin gets bigger. You invest more passive income. Cycle continues. Speed up. This is the compounding effect. Starts slow, then it explodes. But it only starts if you push first. Another thing Friedman emphasized, you never, ever, ever lose discipline when you get rich. Because people who become rich and lose discipline become poor again. They spend crazy money. They do not maintain margin. They don't reinvest. They lose everything. You see this constantly. Person wins prize. Spend it all. Become poor again. Friedman said that wealth without discipline is temporary wealth. True wealth is when you are rich and continue living as if you were poor. Continue separating margin. Keep investing. Keep learning. This is real wealth. How hard? Friedman also talked about an important distinction. You don't need a 50% annual return on investment. You don't need to get rich in a year. You don't need extreme speed. Your true goal is consistent returns. 10% annually is excellent. 20% annually is very good. Your goal is reproducible consistency. It's not a dangerous speed, because speed requires excessive risk. Excessive risk results in frequent loss. Loss kills you emotionally. It makes you give up. Slow and steady consistency keeps you in the game, keeps you building. It keeps you alive psychologically. Consistency is the real weapon. It's not speed, it's consistency. Friedman also warned, don't invest in things you don't understand. Because when investments fall, when you lose money, you get scared. You sell, you lose. But if you understand investing when it goes down, you know it's temporary. You keep it. You might buy more, you win later. Understanding is fundamental. Friedman spent time learning before of investing. Because knowledge is protection, knowledge is power, what not to do. Friedman was crystal clear and brutally honest. Never borrow money to invest. Extremely dangerous and reckless. If your investment falls and you have leveraged debt, you could be completely destroyed. You could lose everything and still owe more. This is financial death. Don't start a business using risk capital that you can't afford to lose completely. Business is inherently risk. It uses money that you can completely afford to lose without dying financially. Start small, very small. If business works, you reinvest profit. You grow organically. Stay small if it doesn't work. You don't want sudden death from irreparable debt that destroys you. Friedman was also clear, you never, ever, ever take a chance that you can't sleep at night. Because excessive risk kills psychologically. You get anxious. He becomes desperate. Makes bad decisions. You give up. Moderate risk that you can live with psychologically is the right risk, because you can remain rational, can make good decisions, can continue when difficult. Friedman also saw that patience is an extraordinary advantage rarely exploited, because most people don't have genuine patience. You want quick results, want to get rich in a year, want transformation in months. When it doesn't come, they give up. They complain that the system doesn't work, but the system never promised speed. He promised consistency, promised it works. If you have true patience, you have a huge competitive advantage, because you keep going when others give up. You win when others have dropped out of the race. You become rich while most remain poor, still waiting for quick results that never come. Patience is a secret weapon. Nobody wants to hear about patience. Everyone wants a quick magic formula, but it doesn't exist. There's patience. There's a system. There's discipline. This works. Patience works. What Friedman also emphasized, you don't want just one type of asset. You want true diversification. It has property. It has actions. It has gold. It has a box. There's business. When there's only one type and that type suffers, you suffer. When there are multiple types, when one suffers, others compensate. You sleep. Security comes from diversification. But real diversification, not just 3 different funds. Diversification between truly different asset classes. Friedman also talked about the importance of starting early, because time is your greatest asset. If you start at 20, you have 40 years to build. If you start at 40, you are 20. If you start at 60, you are 10 years old. Compounding works much better when you have a lot of time. So it doesn't matter what stage you're at. If you still have time, start. Because it's better to start now than never start. Better to start at 40 than at 70. What happens if you follow this faithfully? Friedman saw it in the numbers. If you start with modest salary, set aside 10%. Invest in education and assets. Get consistent returns. After 5 years, you have a foundation. After 10 years, you have structure. After 20 years, you have wealth. It's not billionaire wealth, but it is wealth that sets you free, that gives you options. That gives you security. The fundamental question Friedman poses, are you going to do it or not? Because knowledge is easy. Reading is easy. Understanding is easy. Doing it is difficult. Most understand. Few do. Will you be one of the few? Or will you be one of the many who know but don't do it? If you're going to do it, start today, not Monday. Today, you sit, you calculate your expense, you identify margin, you force investment in education first, small, something that improves your profession, something that increases your ability to earn. You start. Because the best time to start was yesterday. Second best is now. Friedman spent his life trying to make people understand that wealth is accessible, which is not luck, that is not inheritance, which is system, which is process, which is discipline, that anyone who really wants can do it, but few really want to, because real desire requires action, it requires hassle, requires resignation today. Most want wealth, but don't want to do what is necessary. Then you become poor. Blame luck, blame the system, blame everything but yourself. But you may be different. You can start. You can build slowly but consistently. You can achieve financial independence. He can. It really can. If you really do, not just understand. To do. Now. Today. What is your real excuse? What is the barrier you put in place to not start now? Don't have money to start? Completely false. Start micro. Do you earn 5 reais? Set aside 25 cents. Win 100. Separate 5. Earn 1,000. Separate 50. It starts anyway. Don't have time to learn and invest? False. Learn while working your job. Learn while traveling on the bus. Learn while you're waiting. Learn while you sleep listening to an audiobook. Knowledge is free now. Knowledge is abundant on the internet. Learn. Do you have a better excuse? Could it be? But Friedman spent his life listening to excuses. They are all variations of the same excuse. Fear. Fear of failing. Fear of losing money. Fear of being wrong. Paralyzing fear. But Friedman knew that fear is normal. Friedman knew that you can be afraid and do it anyway. Bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is action despite fear. Do it despite the fear. Friedman was absolutely direct and without meandering. You are completely responsible. Your future wealth or your future poverty, your financial independence or your perpetual dependence, your prosperous future or your despair. It's your personal fault. It is your conscious choice. And paradoxically, this is freedom, because personal guilt means personal power. It means you can change everything. It means you are not trapped in the system. If it were the fault of the economic system, you would be in prison permanently, but it's your fault. So you have the power to change completely. Now choose consciously. Will you finally start, or will you continue waiting for something to magically change without your action? Because nothing will change if you don't start. Nothing. No one will come and give you money. No one is going to come and make you rich. No one will spare you. Just you. Just you. Friedman proved this mathematically through numbers, proved empirically through observation of real lives. It proved through historical observation of people who became rich. System works. System works consistently, but it only works if you work, if you really do.